You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. Shea Dixon, just simply the best from On3, the Bengal Tiger. Talking a little recruiting with us here as we move through this season, inch closer to the December signing period. Shady, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. I saw Hayes Fawcett over there at On3. Actually been a friend of the show for a long time. Posted a graphic that Bryce Underwood, the number one player in the country for 2025, is down to his top 7. Oh, down to 7, Shea. But as we've talked about, there seems to be pretty much a consensus that this is a 2-school race with Michigan and LSU. Any reaction to that top 7, by the way, as we start?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think that it's been one of those things where he is down to a couple of teams from really the get-go, and we've been waiting to see if a third team would emerge. It hasn't really happened. A number of the schools he put on that list already have quarterback commitments, and who are like top 100 guys. For instance, Oregon has Achilles Smith, who's a legacy. Colorado's quarterback commit is a legacy. So there's a good feeling that it does come down to these two teams when he decides on January 6th. And yes, it is a final 7, and he had 40-something, 50-something college offers that he whittled it down to. And look, and if you're not a recruiting fan or a female listener who's just flipped over onto your show right now, Matt, and they're wondering what's happening, it's that moment in The Bachelor, right, where there's like 10 girls left, but everyone's like, he's going to pick one of these two, like for sure. The other girls are all just going to disappear eventually. So we're in that spot, I think. I firmly believe that unless someone comes in and makes some major splash late, that it's Michigan or LSU.
Don't discriminate, Shea. There's a lot of guys that love The Bachelor. I see it on the Twitter machine all the time. All right, so if it's LSU and Michigan, the big question I have for you, Shea, is all the scandal that's going on around Michigan, how does this have any impact on Bryce Underwood's recruitment?
I'd say, I guess it'd be foolish to say none, but I don't think it has as much impact as just the reality of how he views Michigan and LSU and the programs they are and the coaches that are there and kind of the build-up, the vibe he feels. Obviously, this is one of those things where Bryce isn't paying attention to the ins and outs. He even went on record this past weekend with On3 when he was asked about it by our Michigan site. He said, look, I see what y'all do. I read all the news, but I'm not. That can't play into my decision right now. I got to keep my head down and focus on relationships, focus on my future. What will be, will be. So if there is some shakeup at Michigan before he announces, then it's obviously news. Right now, it's not. I am sitting on the sort of side of the debate that would say, if I'm an LSU fan, I don't want anything to happen at Michigan, which sounds funny, right? Like they're undefeated. They're going to the playoffs. J.J. McCarthy is in the Heisman race, and you're saying you don't want sanctions to come down. You don't want to know, because what happens if they hire a new staff? And what happens if everyone all of a sudden, that's all the rage is, look who Michigan hired, and we're all going there. And then all of a sudden there's a bunch of pressure for an in-state kid to stay home. Right now, that's not the case. It's not like Michigan's racked up 24 top 100 kids and are like, Bryce, you're the only one left. That's the kind of stuff that can happen when you have a coaching change of that big of a magnitude. So if I'm an LSU fan, I'm hoping to get through January 6th and nothing happens with Michigan.
I'm putting you on the spot here, Shea. Can you think of a comp where a coaching change impacted one of the top players or the top player in the country or something that's even comparable to that? Because you're right. I mean, I think that my assumption would be you would love for chaos at Michigan because Bryce Underwood would say, let me go where there's stability and I know what I'm getting.
Yeah, so you're saying would there have been a situation where there was, and it worked out in favor of the school that had the coaching change?
Yes.
I guess I'd have to think of the major coaching change.
Would this make sense? Ryan Perrilloux, who was 5-star, was committed to Texas. Les Miles comes in and he ends up flipping to LSU.
Yeah, I think that would be a very good example. You dug deep. I was trying to think too recently. Yeah, I think that's a good example of the type of thing that can happen. I can also say that there were and to a much lesser degree, a quarterback's the most valuable thing you've got on the field. But remember, when Dylan Moses went to Bama, he just went on record and said, if Les Miles was still the coach, I'd go there. And that's why I was committed there. But he's not, so I'm not going there anymore. So we've certainly seen a lot of that. Kids who are committed to a school when you have a coaching change defect, or they end up sticking. It's why LSU signed, 15 kids the first year Brian Kelly took over. It was a lot of Louisiana guys like Will Campbell who were like, I don't care. I'm going there no matter what. I don't really care who the coach is.
Yeah, man, this is it's fascinating to think LSU's in the mix for the top player in the country and might be able to pluck him out of Michigan. We'll see as they get closer. Shea, I would imagine the season that LSU's having offensively, and Jayden Daniels, of course, is one of the primary reasons why LSU is having so much success in this recruitment with Bryce Underwood.
Well, I think it was relationships and just the feel of Bryce early on had said when he emerged as a national prospect as a sophomore, a reminder, he's on pace now he's a junior. He won a state title as a freshman. He won a state title as a sophomore, and he certainly could win it again here as a junior. So he's a guy who emerged early on as a national recruit, and he talked a lot about wanting to go to the SEC. I think that LSU built on that. LSU became the only SEC school that he really kind of fell in love with in terms of and I think sometimes, Matt, we're in this bubble, right? We're here. We've been here. A lot of these other kids come here and see the team and see the feel around the program and what Tiger Stadium's like. And when you witness it for the first time, it's a level of swagger. It's this confidence. They turn out guys to the NFL. It's stuff that we take for granted because we're in it. But all these other guys see it, and they're infatuated by it. So I think that kind of hooked him on LSU, and Joe Sloan and the staff did a really good job of having relationships that were able to put them neck and neck with a school like Michigan, who's an hour down the road from him and halfway across the country for LSU. That was over the summer. So, I would have called it, boy, this is a tight race in the summer. Now, yes, Michigan's undefeated. Yes, J.J. McCarthy's in the Heisman race. No one's talking about them like they're talking about a 3-loss Jayden Daniels, who is leading the country in total offense, who is number 2 behind Caleb Williams in passing touchdowns, who has the second most rushing yards by a quarterback in the country right now, and with 3 losses is doing what guys like RG3 did, which is put himself still in that conversation because he was so good and the team he was surrounded by and the offense was so good that they just kept putting up video game numbers. And that, I think, as the season has played out, has really been a nice card for LSU to play because it's now, look what all you'll have around you. Look what Jayden Daniels did. Imagine what you can do in this system.
Yeah. He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon On3, the Bengal Tiger. Shea, LSU loses to Bama. There's 3 games to go. When you look at this class where LSU got 26 commitments already, how much significance for this recruiting class are the final 3 weeks of this season? And honestly, Shea, final 3 home games and 3 opportunities to get recruits on campus before that December signing period?
Yeah, paramount for the reason you said. It leads right into the December signing period, which is when the majority of your recruits are going to sign anyways. So if you stumble down the stretch, Matt, you've gone backwards, right? You overexceeded in year 1 of Brian Kelly, and then you fell below your limit or kind of mark in year 2. And it's what Brian Kelly said on Monday. It is important to win out. Why? Because you get to 9 wins. And what happens then? You get a chance at 10. And you can step back and then say, look, took over a program with back-to-back 500 finishes in the regular season. Hey, when I got here, they had 36 scholarship players, and we're coming off the first losing season since DiNardo was the head coach in the 90s. And now you've got back-to-back 10-win seasons. So in one of those seasons, you won the West. And the other season, you had the number 1 offense in the country. You'll be a top 15 team again. You'll be back in that conversation all off-season, just like they were a year ago when they beat a nobody Purdue team in, a nobody bowl. But that didn't matter. They won 10 games. Oh, they're getting hyped up now as a team that's got a lot of buzz around them. They finished with a top 5 class. So you cannot stumble. And then I'll note, and yes, beating Florida important, but they're going head-to-head and will go head-to-head with A&M a lot on the recruiting trail. You need to win out, but you need to win that last game because then you put a firm stamp on, here's how A&M finished, and here's how LSU finished. And if it's touching another 10-win season versus A&M, who has had one 10-win season in 20 years, since 1999, really. 1998, I think, only had one 10-win season since then. That's a big deal. You're selling results. I say it all the time on your show. kids don't care about one game. No kid has ever decommitted or committed to a school because of one game. But a season's worth of games, that's the trajectory of your program, and that's what you're paying attention to. So closing strong here is of the utmost importance.
Cheer against the Aggies and hope they retain Jimbo. That's what we're all pulling for. That's what we're all pulling for here. All right, before you go, visitor list or anything of note for this weekend with Florida coming in?
Yeah, they're starting to put all that together now, and we'll get a feel for it. It's tough, too, because, remember, all across the country, playoffs are starting. So many guys are locked in Friday night or playing on Saturdays. A lot of these states play playoff games on Saturdays, so it makes it a little bit shorter. I know Devon Key's one of their linebacker commitments. He'll make his official visit this weekend instead of December, but, again, he's a guy who in December will probably still be playing in the playoffs with Aledo in Texas. So most guys will wait until December to make that official visit, but they will have some guys in. I think the one big name I'm watching is Gabe Relaford out of Evangel up in North Louisiana. He's committed to A&M, but he's already made 2 visits to games this year, and he had told On3 that he was planning, at least, to come down for this game. So if he does come down and make it, I think that third visit would be huge, and then you're firmly in the mix for a kid that you really need at his position, which is D-line.
Night game against Florida in Tiger Stadium. Should be a great scene. He is Shea Dixon, On3 the Bengal Tiger. Follow him on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Shea, we appreciate it, man. Be well. We'll do it again next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.